What's up, guys, and welcome back to Gladiators Drive, and today we're reviewing the Babolat Pure Drive 98 updated for 2025. This should be the more controlled and feel-oriented version of the normal Pure Drive that's behind me over there. And although I know that many of you Glads out there really enjoy the feel and the power of the Pure Drive, I'm really not big of a fan of the normal Pure Drive because it's just way too powerful and there's just not enough control. I don't like the feel of it, and it's just not for me or for my game. And this should kind of solve the issues that I have with the normal version of the Pure Drive, but I guess we'll find out if that's the case right now. Check out the specs. So here's what happened with this Pure Drive 98. When I first received it alongside with the normal Pure Drive 100, the hype one, the one that everyone wants and is actually researching, I thought, okay, I will make the review of the normal Pure Drive, and this I will do at some later point because I thought it was just gonna be a rebranded Pure Drive VS, which I absolutely hated and didn't understand whatsoever. And I was really not looking forward to reviewing it, and at some point even thought that I wasn't gonna make the review of this frame whatsoever. But then I thought, listen, I gotta be professional, make the reviews no matter if I like the racket or not, strung it up and went out to the court. And from literally the first few shots, I could tell that Babolat have made a game-changing racket, a hidden gem that nobody talks about, that I didn't know about, and that you should definitely know about. So the idea with this racket is to create competition to the super popular Yonex EZO 98 and the super popular Wilson Blade V9 98 16x19. And if you'd ask me to compare the VS version of the Pure Drive to those two titans, I would say that it doesn't even stand in the same room as those two. But now I'm seriously considering a comparison video between the three, or at least comparing this to one of the two, because it's just so freaking good. So good, in fact, that it is going to be making my top 5 best rackets of 2025, and this was in fact a spoiler. It's funny because the racket that's been getting the most hype in Babolat's lineup is of course the Babolat Pure Aero 98, because that's the racket that Carlos Alcaraz endorses, and it is a really good racket. I loved it from day one. It combines a lot of really good factors in just one racket, and if I had to switch to a Babolat racket, up until today, this was the one. And it's funny because the 98 versions of both the Pure Aero and the Pure Drive are pretty much the exact same thing, with this just being tweaked in a different direction, having a little bit more control, stability and feel, whereas this has a little bit more power and a little bit more spin. Both being really good rackets, but just everyone is forgetting about the Pure Drive and focusing solely on the Pure Aero 98. And it's funny that I'm actually preferring the 98 versions of the very popular rackets over the 100 ones in pretty much all of the Babolat's lineup, except for the Pure Strike, where I do lean towards the 100-inch version with the 16x20 string pattern. But the point is, guys, if you're considering this thing and it's expensive, definitely take a look at the Pure Drive. But let's get to the actual shot-by-shot analysis and the objective review of the racket. So from the first few shots, this racket just clicked. I could tell that I would love it and that I'm gonna enjoy this playtest. I got the control, the feel and the stability that I don't get in the 100-inch version, and for my tennis, especially my forehand, that I play with a decent amount of spin, but one that has a pretty flat trajectory, this racket was just perfect. On the flatter, more aggressive down the line shots, this thing has your back as well, and in case you do want to play with a lot of topspin and kind of force your opponent cross-court, this does have your back, because it's not an 18x20 string pattern, it's a 16x20, which is one of my favorite string patterns out there, and it does allow for a good amount of spin while not compromising so much on the control and the stability. It also feels really maneuverable, so much so that it almost makes you feel more agile on the court and be tempted to get those inside-out forehands instead of hitting the backhand, which is not something that I usually do, but I kept on doing with this racket because it almost encourages you to go inside out. When it came to the backhand side, the feeling is pretty similar. I always say that I'm looking for a lot of stability and penetration when it comes to the backhand shot, and I definitely got it with the 98 version of the Pure Drive. And I guess it has to come from the 98 100-inch head, which adds a lot of stability and a really good feel, but still, it's just not something that I usually tend to expect from a Pure Drive racket. I could easily switch down the line with a flat, fast backhand, but I could also create a huge angle with a topspin approach shot to go up to the net. Glads, if you already feel like this Babolat Pure Drive 98 is the perfect fit for your tennis, you know where to get it. Like always, the link is going to be down in the description below, together with our exclusive discount code that will save you some cash, and that really helps this channel. So yeah, win-win. But yeah, right now, back to the review. One thing that I really enjoy about this racket is the sweet spot, and it's not the size of the sweet spot, but the kind of the sweet spot. So when it comes to hitting off-center shots, there's really two kinds of rackets. One is where you hit off the center and you can feel that you kind of didn't hit the sweet spot, but you can still kind of feel the ball and direct it where you want to without, you know, sacrificing that much. And those where you hit off the center and it almost feels like you're hitting a wooden bat against a concrete wall. This, even if you hit off the center, whether that's the backhand or the forehand, it happened to me more on the forehand side, you can still direct the ball where you want it to go. You lose the speed and you will lose the spin, but it will still go in approximately the direction where you directed it, which is something really good. And plus, you don't break your elbow. Now, at the net, thanks to its stability and its maneuverability, it's a perfect racket if you want to go to the net a lot. If you hit the sweet spot, you will finish the shot and direct it spot on where you want to. And even if you hit off the center, as I said, the racket won't punish you and it will try to help you and put the ball inside the court. The shot that I liked potentially the most with the Pure Drive 98 was the serve. Of course, because of that stability, control, and feel that you get from the smaller head and the more dense string pattern. You can direct the first serves the way you want to, whether it's a first flat ace down the tee or a very sharp slice first serves, the racket will really help you out. And unlike with the Pure Drive 100, the power that was absolutely untamable, at least for me, and at least on the review, I just really couldn't put a single first serve inside the service box, and I did mention that some players do manage to. With this thing, I didn't really need any break-in period. I just started serving like I served with my racket of choice, the Gravity Pro, right off the bat. I could feel every serve, I could direct it where I want to, and I really felt like my arm was continuing into the racket because of just how well I could feel the shot on the string bat. And by the way, combined with the Technifiber Razor Soft 125, this Pure Drive plays really well. I know there's some people out there who aren't fans of mixing brands of strings and rackets, but this is just a very good combination that I definitely recommend. It adds that little bit of feel to the racket and that little bit more of spin, which is absolutely perfect. Talking about spin, the shot that I usually use to identify the amount of spin that the racket generates is the topspin second serve. And here, the racket gives you access to a pretty good amount of spin. It's not as exaggerated as with a Pure IRO 100 or the Wilson Ultra V5, for example, but it's the amount of spin that I need on my serve. The way I'm able to identify that is if I'm managing to force my opponent to play the return over their head with their backhand, that means that the racket offers me the amount of spin that I needed to. And I know you can kind of do it with any racket and with any string pattern if we're talking modern frames, but I'm talking in normal conditions where I'm not forcing all of my body into that spin and just doing a normal serve movement. So who is this racket for then? Well, if you didn't already understand it, if you play kind of like me, if you're an aggressive all-courter who likes to go to the net, do some serves and volleys, who plays flat or with a lot of topspin but with a flat trajectory, this is an absolute magnificent choice and I really definitely do recommend it. The only thing I can get over is this paint job, which Babolat have kept for the last freaking 300 years, which I personally don't like. If you like it, just go for it, don't even think about it. Now, if you like to play in the baseline, grind, and kind of create a lot of topspin and tire your opponent, this might not be the best choice and you should look at the 100-inch version. Another thing that I should probably mention is that if you're looking into the Pure IRO 98, you should also consider the Pure Drive 98. If you want a slightly more powerful and spinny one, you go for the Pure IRO 98. If you want a more controlled and stable and more feel-oriented, but still powerful and spinny racket, go for the Pure Drive 98.
Hey guys, if he doesn't put this, it's fraud, and you will never know.
Because of the hype with Carlos Alcaraz and the Pure IRO 98, the Pure Drives are usually less expensive if you compare them side by side, and they're really both really good rackets that, you know, I could totally see myself playing with. And in fact, if I was picking between the two, I would probably go with the Pure Drive 98 because it just fits my game a little bit more, because I do appreciate that little bit more of control, feel, and stability. But anyways, right now you're probably seeing the grades appear on your screen, and yeah, they're gonna be very similar to the grades of the Aero 98, except for the control and the power department. But yeah, I usually like to use this time to remind you that if you want some cool tennis vertical content, feel absolutely free to follow us on Instagram, where I've been posting quite a bit of it, and I've been a little bit more active, posting some stories, updates. I recently went to a head event where they invited us to their factory and we got to make our own racket. I've been posting some updates on that on Instagram, so if you're interested, feel absolutely free to check it out. But yeah, for now, that's it from me for today. Like always, my name is Grisha. You're watching Gladiators Drive. I hope you've enjoyed this review, and I will see you, Glad, in the next one. Bye-bye.